Sony's DEI Overwatch clone has been a nightmare for them so far. Both of the betas drew in virtually no players, but to add to that, gamers have been very vocal on social media, ratioing every teaser and trailer. But now we've got some information about the people who worked on this monstrosity, and it's no surprise to hear that they absolutely hate gamers and anybody with opinions that differ from theirs. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I had actually played the open beta simply because it was free. I wasn't monetarily supporting Firewalk and Sony, and I have to say it is one of the worst games that I've played. I was bored within 20 minutes of playing it, and it truly was just a nightmare. I mean, I wanted to give it a chance because sometimes I criticize games and I actually end up mildly enjoying them. But with this, it was no surprise within the first few minutes of playing it, I was not a big fan because I was not impressed with any of the footage that we had seen leading up to the beta's release. But now we're actually finding out that there are several people that have worked on this game who, of course, are massive SJWs, which is no shock given the content that they've created, the fact that this is a DEI monstrosity. But I had actually made this tweet/post saying senior concept artist at Firewalk Studios, who of course has been working on Concord, has a history of attacking gamers who have criticized upcoming games like the Silent Hill 2 remake, and of course she has also been vocal on what she says is Grum's or Mark Kern's very dangerous rhetoric. Now, this is Firewalk Studios' first game, most likely their only game, given how bad it really is, and the fact that they've been working on this since 2018. You'd think in 6 years they'd be able to create more than 15 characters and 4 maps with 3 different modes. You'd think that they'd have a little bit more to bring to the table, especially when they are competing in such a packed genre already, but they decided to put in the least amount of effort possible. And of course, it does not help when you see people like concept artists attacking gamers. That makes me want to stay even further away from this title. But her name is Amanda. She has made many tweets and posts in the past about gamers, specifically about the culture war. She's very vocal when it comes to what she thinks the gaming industry should be all about and the games that should be made. But she had posted a little bit over a month and a half ago about Silent Hill 2, saying Silent Hill 2 is my favorite game of all time, and right-wing, quote, fans complaining about the way Angela looks in the remake is telling she looks awful. Straight up, the females within this remake that we have seen so far do not look good. Maria, Angela, they all look like monstrosities. You either have their outfits completely toned down, and they do not look as fashionable or edgy as they previously did, or you have Angela, who is a butterball. And it's okay to say these things. They're not real women. They are fictional women in a fictional world. So it's fine to sit here and criticize them. Just because I am criticizing the way that these characters look does not mean I'm some massive misogynist and I hate women. I hear that one a lot. Oh, you hate women. Yes, surely. But when it comes to these types of games, specifically remakes, we are seeing them get progressively worse and worse. And I love replaying games that are older. I love seeing remasters of them. I have loved seeing remakes of them. Most notably, I have enjoyed the Resident Evil remakes. Now, of course, they all have problems. Like the Resident Evil remakes do feature quite a bit of censorship. Look at the Knights of the Old Republic remake. I love KOTOR. It's one of my favorite games of all time, but I have absolutely no hope that it's going to turn out well just because of some of the people that were working on it, like Sam Maggs, massive SJW, who back during Gamergate 1 said she was raped in Grand Theft Auto, and that caused trauma to her, which is questionable. But looking at Silent Hill 2, we've all wanted this to be good. It's not like we've been saying, oh, we hope this game is bad. I want it to come out and for it to be entertaining or at least be worthy of a $70 price tag, but I just don't necessarily think that's going to happen. But she continued with saying, we are talking about a character who is a sexual assault and incest victim. Yes, but again, she is a fictional character. She used to be very pretty. It should be fine that a character has this tragic backstory while also being beautiful. It's not like you have to have one or the other. You can have both. It says you don't even have to argue with those people. They tell on themselves immediately. Ah, yes, because of course, criticizing a video game means telling on yourself, as she says, meaning you're, an ist or a phobe. These people are absurd. These right wingers are showing they do not care about anything below surface level or able to understand the media they consume. We do understand the media we consume. We understand that there are developers who are altering pieces of content going into remakes and remasters because they want them to represent the modern message and modern day, which is not what should be happening. If you want to go and you want to create a story that's similar, that touches on these very adult themes, these very intense themes like sexual assault and incest, that's perfectly fine. And you want to make your characters ugly, that's also perfectly fine. You are allowed to do that, but this is a remake. You should be trying to represent the original product as closely as possible. But of course, she doesn't stop there. She's also made posts about Grums, saying this guy Grums was just sad and funny at first, but this is actually defending a predator. At this point, this guy's rhetoric is dangerous. And don't forget, this was when we really didn't have a lot of information, and there were several people coming out saying that, yes, Twitch basically baited Dr. Disrespect. Now, of course, since then, he has made statements, we've gotten more information, but he simply asked a question and raised a theory that was being spread around. And instead of just saying, oh, this aged really poorly, they decide to say, oh, he's trying to defend a predator and his rhetoric is dangerous, which of course isn't very shocking to see people like this trying to criticize anyone that they disagree with and basically trying to cancel them by calling them dangerous. But to add to that, we actually have another Concord developer who allegedly demanded coworkers refer to her as professor and pushed extreme politics and demanded her unvaxxed colleagues be fired. This is a report that's coming from Smash JT, but this is a Park Place article. He had just said that, this person's crazy, basically. One of the devs, Lisa Brown, aka Wordle, who, by the way, who now has locked down their X account, came out as non-binary and forced everyone at the company to call her professor. She would regularly have meetings with cheesy phrases like teaching and learning with the professor, and she pushed extreme politics, hated guns, and wanted unvaxxed staff fired. Now, I can't really say that I'm surprised at this. When you're making a game focused on appealing to modern audiences and shoving DEI into every aspect, you're going to draw in the nut jobs, and you are going to ultimately have a staff that is primarily filled with activists who also believe that the video game industry is not diverse and not inclusive. And it seems that there are probably even more people like this in their ranks, but because those people are not very vocal on social media, we don't know a lot about them. So it will actually be interesting to see if any of these people decide to come out and they make any statements regarding all of the criticism that they have faced and the game has faced. But it's not looking good for Sony and Firewalk because again, they just had this free open beta and it was an absolute failure. It really didn't seem to draw anyone in, never mind when it launches in a month and they expect people to swipe their credit cards on this garbage. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.